Alright, so just recording this as an afterthought. I had tried to videotape me making these before, and for some reason it just didn't work out, and I couldn't get it to go through, but hopefully we'll get this one working. But we're going to make some foam skeleton hands today, and I'm going to walk you through it. Pretty simple, nothing really to them, and these ones have to be fixed a little bit more before I get them going, but I'm going to have them wrapped around something so you won't even notice what they look like now. So I like that one's a little bent, and we'll fix that later, but not a big deal. So here they are, and let's get to it. Hi everyone. Been saying for a while now that I'm going to do a tutorial on the skeleton hands that I make for my groundbreakers, the skeleton hands that I made for the Grim Reapers that I have on my columns, and I need to make a set today, so I thought I'd show you real quick how I do it. So let's take a look at what you're going to need before you get started. Alright, so first of all, what I have here is a hand, it looks like, I guess, and this came out of a latex glove that I just sprayed great stuff into. Now, you can do this a number of different ways. I found this just to be the best way because the foam gets compacted in there, and you don't get a whole lot of holes. You get some air holes in here, but if you don't have it kind of in something that's not going to let it completely and totally expand and have air holes in it, because you don't want any holes in this. You want this to be foam. So any way you can think of getting out the foam out of the Great Stuff can, or use some other type of foam, would be the best. So we got that. You're going to need some really gritty sandpaper. I believe this is like 60 grit sandpaper, maybe 80, something like that. Just really gritty. And a hacksaw blade or some kind of a blade to cut the foam with. You'll need an X-Acto knife, a ruler of some sort. Get you some kind of a skeleton hand or something that you can have measurements for each bone. I got that off of just an old skeleton I had. And then you'll need some wire. And this just comes out of a bunch of wire that I got out of the trash can. And as you can see, maybe not. Inside of there is just a bunch of wire. Gosh, where am I? There we go. That I just strip and use this wire to put my foam bones on. So let's get busy. I'll show you what I do. Alright, so when you're cutting these, you just want to get as much foam out of them as you can. I just cut them into the best triangle or the best rectangles or squares that I can. And when you find you're going to open these up, and there's going to be holes in them like that. And yeah, it sucks. And I have had them before to where they haven't had any of this in it, but these ones are pretty bad so far. So let's just cut this one open real quick. See what we got to work with this one. This one's not so bad. Yeah, it's got a little hole right there, and yeah, it goes down into there. But this whole part right here is usable, and that's the part that we'll go ahead and use. So I'm just going to cut up some pieces, hopefully enough to do what I need to do. And I got about 8 hands out of a can. So if you can get enough foam to do 1 or 2 sets of hands, that's great, out of 1 can of foam. So check back in a second. Okay, so now that I have some pieces cut out, I take my hand, my skeleton hand, and my ruler, and there's 3 bones for the thumb and then 4 bones for each finger. So all I do is I take this, and I'm going to make these a little bit bigger than what this hand is, only probably by 1/4 of an inch on each bone. So like this one here would be 1.5. You can see that. I'm just going to go 1 3/4 on it. So I just take a piece of foam, whatever it be, 1 3/4, and grab my X-Acto knife here. Wherever I put that thing. There it is. And I just cut it off at 1 3/4. Just kind of cut it down. The more you cut it down, the less sanding you'll have to do. I just cut it down into a piece about that big. And then yeah, just take it. Run it across your sandpaper until you get it circular. And then what I do is I take it and I just put the tip over the edge of the sandpaper like that. You can see it. And I just sand this part down all the way around. Just so it gives it that kind of little edge there. Just makes it look more like a bone. I would do it on each end. There's my first piece. And what I do is I just do all the hands for all the pieces first, and I just lay them out into 2 hands. So I just put this piece over here, and I'll do the next piece, and I'll make 2 hands over here before I put it on the wires. So I'm going to do that, and I will come back when I'm ready to put them on the wire. Alright, so after I got it all carved out, this is kind of what it's going to look like. And I've got it all laid out, so I'm going to put each one of these pieces on the wire now. Alright, so just like I said, nice and easy. Kind of drill them through the foam. Another thing about gray stuff, the hardest part about it is just being patient and letting it dry. I've had these foam hands for a while, so the foam is pretty strong. It's pretty hard, and it works out really well when it's been curing for a while. Like I said, you just put it on each piece like that, and just start building your hands. Now I've got them all wrapped together, and you can wrap this up with duct tape or masking tape, whatever you want to do. And then what I have been doing lately is I've just been covering this whole section in Monster clay, and then when that sets up, it's like hard as rock, and those fingers don't go anywhere. But before I do that, we've got to take them downstairs where I've got my paint and dip them in some paint. See you in a second. Alright, so now I have the hand. I'm just going to scrunch the fingers together, you know, pretty much. Just don't get them exactly all together because you want the paint to dry with these touching, so you want to have them just apart a little bit. And I just have a can of white latex paint, and you know, this makes them white for 1, and then for 2 it also kind of acts like a glue and keeps them on there. I just dip them in all the way, and if the tips fall off, the good thing is they float right back to the top of the paint. It might take a couple minutes, but they will float right back to the top, but usually they stay on. Just let the paint drip off a bit. Sorry. I think that tip is starting to come off a little bit. We can fix that later though, it's no big deal. You know, you can dip them once, dip them twice, and they'll really stay. But most likely they're going to stay anyway. So like I said, we got that one little piece right there to fix, and the rest of it looks pretty good. So I just get a block of foam. Just kind of those suckers, and I've used this quite a few times now, so stab it in there and let them dry. And there they are. Pretty simple. Alright, like I said, get some, you know, I've done styrofoam before in between here. Put a piece of styrofoam and ran the wires through it. Not my favorite. But getting a big blob of monster clay, and just putting it on there and just kind of molding it around there and making each finger a little thicker. We'll finish that off. Alright, so there you are. I'll show you what they look like on the finished project in my next video. Coming up soon. Thanks. Bye. Alright, so these hands, they work great. They hold things really well. You can bend them and pose them into anything that you want. Here's one that I made last year. And of course these were for my reapers. This one was holding the skull. And it's still in good shape. Still will bend and pose any way that I want it to go. And they're pretty durable. They hold up pretty well. So like I said, this is a piece of styrofoam that's in here, and I reinforced it with some popsicle sticks in here, and I wrapped it with tape so it would hold things better. The possibilities are kind of endless with them and what you want to do. And I've seen these made out of wood, and I've seen them made out of plastic tubing, but this is how I do them. And I've had a couple of people ask me how I do them, and that's how I do them. So we'll get them finished, and I will show you what they're going to look like on my next prop. And I'm almost done with it, so hang in there. Thanks, bye everybody. Take care. Keep killing it.